Let's get prepared. We are starting the press conference by Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba. Short remarks, then questions. We are very limited in time, so we will try to pick as many as we can, but don't get offended if we don't pick every. So, Minister, the floor is yours.
Yes. Good afternoon. I lost time, so I looked at the clock. Good afternoon, everyone. I have a slight déjà vu here in Munich this year. I was at the very same conference a year ago. It was the 19th of February, just 5 days before the war began. Now I'm here again, and when I look back at what was done by Ukraine and its partners, it's impressive. When the war began, we had a clear understanding that to make ourselves capable of defending and liberating the country, we need to unlock 7 types of weapons. We need to get them. And in 1 year, 6 out of 7 are unlocked. With regard to each of them, the initial reply to our request was, no, this is impossible. No, this is not going to happen. Be it anti-tank weapons, artillery, multiple launch rocket systems, air defense, tanks, long-range missiles. All of this started with no. And in the end, it was yes. So the only outstanding type of weapon is planes. And once we receive them, the big 7 of weapons will be unlocked. But just to imagine that after a year of war, we unlocked 6 of them, speaks for the commitment of partners to stand by us and support us. And last year, my keyword was weapons. This year, I have my 2 keywords will be speed and sustainability. Speed of delivery and sustainability of delivery. This is crucial. Everything has to come on time to be relevant, to be helpful. Therefore, the main topic of my discussions here when it comes to defense is that weapons pledged to Ukraine so far have to be delivered as soon as possible. I came here from a meeting, from a unique format where me and Annalena Baerbock brought together Ukrainian and German defense industries to sit down and to discuss what they can do together to answer these 2 specific questions: how to speed everything up and how to ensure sustainability. This will be the key task for the year ahead of us. This Munich has no Russia, and it seems to be a good place to be. I don't think the conference lost anything, which brings us to the next question. What to do with Russia? I think that reflections should begin on how to build long-term security architecture, given that Russia has to change. Because with Russia as it is, it will be virtually impossible to guarantee long-term security, not only of Ukraine, but of the continent as a whole. We are entering a very important week. Here in Munich, we began a very important week that will end up on the 24th of February in Kyiv, in New York, and in other places around the world. And while we are fighting on the battlefields, we all want peace, but not peace at any cost, not peace at the expense of Ukraine. We've been there, we've seen it, and we are not going to do it again. No more Minsks, no more contact lines. This is not something that stops Russia, as we have seen over the last year. And therefore, I also, while being here, I attach great importance to working with partners on the implementation of the peace formula proposed by President Zelensky last year at the G20. There is a long road for us ahead of us, but we have no other choice but to do it. And I will end up with by repeating President Zelensky, who said that who expressed hope that the next Munich conference will be post-war Munich conference. We should focus on this goal. Nothing is impossible, as I told you. If I had believed that everything was impossible, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you. Everything is possible. And we shouldn't be asking ourselves the question, how long this war end? We all should be asking the question, what else should we do to help Ukraine win this war? Thank you.
Sergio, in the middle. Yes, you.
Hello, Hai Qian from Phoenix TV, China. So the High Representative of China in this conference spoke of a peaceful solution. How do you see potentially the role of China in de-escalation of the war? And do you and Ukrainian government see China as a potential mediator?
Well, how can we see a permanent member of the Security Council and one of the leading powers of the world? Of course, we believe that China can play an important role in containing Russia's aggressive intentions, and actions, given the relationship that China and Russia enjoy. We always had good relations and good trade with China. We are looking forward. I'm looking forward to the conversation with Mr. Wang Yi. We are going to have a meeting here in Munich to go into details. We think China can play a role. We want China to play a role that will reiterate the principle that is fundamental for both China and Ukraine: territorial integrity. No concessions, no compromises are possible with regard to territorial integrity of Ukraine or any other nation in the world. And no peace plan can be based even on the slightest assumption that a square meter of Ukrainian territory can be considered.
Third row on the left. Colleagues, please keep it really brief and short.
Sure. Rohit Khatri from ITV in the UK. Can I ask you about Rishi Sunak, who's speaking now? He offered, from your point of view, a positive message about doubling down on support, but he was vague once again. What is your understanding of the British position? Will they deliver planes to Ukraine, directly or indirectly? And if so, when?
I think Britain is genuinely committed. And after doubling down, if needed, Britain will triple down. On planes, I will take a risk of saying that Ukraine will receive planes. It's a matter of time and procedure. It will take more time than tanks. We understand that. But the very kind of logic, the basic sense of how the situation evolves will take all of us to the decision on planes, and I'm sure that Britain will play a role in it. Over the last year, I have become an expert on artillery, on tanks, on air defense systems. Now I'm learning a lot of stuff about planes. I'm sure it will be done. You have Eurofighter Typhoons, many of them. But first step, and we hear clear commitment, including from London, is to start trainings. Because here is how it worked before planes. First, the decision was made to provide Ukraine with certain weapons, and then trainings began, which led us to what? A waste of time. So we propose to kind of turntables and begin with trainings. And this is our request to all our friends who can potentially share planes with us. begin trainings as soon as possible without undertaking at this very moment any additional commitments.
A man in the back. Yes, you.
Hello, Carl Ritter from the Associated Press. Vice President Harris spoke just recently at this conference about Russia committing crimes against humanity in Ukraine. What is your comment to that assessment?
Russia waged a genocidal war against Ukrainians because they do not recognize our identity and they do not think we deserve to exist as a sovereign nation. Everything that stems from that is crimes against humanity, war crimes, and various other atrocities committed by the Russian army in the territory of Ukraine. Let lawyers sort out specifically which act belongs where in terms of legal qualification, but in the end, and we dedicated a lot of time to this issue of accountability in our meetings here. In the end, unfortunately, to my deepest regret, all kinds of, there will be enough of evidence against Russia to sentence specific individuals for committing all kinds of atrocities that can be committed during the war. It's probably one of the most painful parts of this war.
First row, please keep it short.
Mr. Foreign Minister, the Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister asked yesterday for the supply of phosphorus bombs and cluster ammunition. Do you support this call for these weapons, and do you have evidence that Russia employed these weapons in Ukraine?
We have evidence that Russia is using cluster ammunition. We understand that cluster ammunition is a debatable issue in world affairs. We are not party to the convention on the prohibition of cluster ammunition, so legally there are no obstacles for that. And if we receive one, we will be using it exclusively against military force of the Russian Federation.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Sova Gram Jensen. I'm from a Danish newspaper called Berlingske. I was just wondering, President Zelensky said that he was hoping next year the security conference could be post-war, and you expressed the same hope. But Chancellor Scholz said we should prepare ourselves for a long war. How do you see that message coming from Europe? The Danish Prime Minister said the same. And also, do you even calculate, because Russia has so many more, you could say, human resources, many more people, persons they can send to the war than Ukraine has. Do you operate with different scenarios for how long the war lasts? Thank you.
There is no other country in the world that wants peace to be restored as soon as possible. Literally no other. And this is where the argument about ending the war this year comes from. Because we want it. Because we are fighting for it. Because we are sacrificing ourselves for it. But we all should be aware of two things. This is a war. War consists of different phases. If allies gave up fighting the Nazism in 1943, for example, because things did not go very well for them, right? Things would have been, the world would have been different, and we wouldn't be here in Munich today. So yes, deep inside, we have to be ready to fight as long as it takes to win and to prepare for that scenario. But yes, of course, we want this war to end as soon as possible. On a different note, and that brings me to one of the comments, the remark that I made. When we win militarily, it will mean that there will be no Russian soldiers in the territory of Ukraine. But this will not be the end of the aggression waged by Russia against Europe, against other countries in the world. So in the end, we have to answer the question, what do we do with Russia to finally restore peace in full? And that will probably take time, or not. And my final comment is this. Guys, please, every time you ask a question, are you sure you're going to manage? Russia has so many soldiers, Russia has so many tanks. A year ago, people here in Munich were telling me that we're not going to stand for more than 48 hours. That you're not going to make it, you're not going to survive, you have to be rational. We've been there, we've seen it. Have trust in us. Be with us, and we will win. Impossible is nothing. We proved it so many times over the last year. There are many examples in the world history where smaller countries, relatively smaller countries, won against larger armies. And we are not smaller if all of your support is taken together, which is the case. So have more trust in us and convey to your readers that whatever Russia has, we have more. And we are fighting for the right cause. This is something that makes us stronger.
Just a few last ones, the first row.
Hussam Sadiq from Al Ain, United Arab Emirates. I have a question. How do you see the UAE role in mediating with Russia concerning exchange of prisoners? Do you expect this role to be expanded to other issues?
I think the best India can do is to support peace formula proposed by President Zelensky. It consists of 10 steps which vary from food and energy security and end up with some military and accountability issues. So India can choose the issue it wants to work on and be part of the overall effort. Big exchange of prisoners is also a part of the peace formula, and India can do it from within this format.
Yeah, in the back again. And then, yeah.
Yes, I'm Bibiana Piena from the Norwegian News Agency. You said that you, of course, would want peace as soon as possible. But will you be prepared to go into a peace agreement on the 2014 borders, as some experts say that the US will try to push you into? And secondly, how do you assess the risk of this becoming a frozen war, a war with no end?
Well, I think these experts should be asked a very simple question. If someone intrudes into his or her apartment and tells that he will stay in the bedroom forever, would that expert agree to that compromise solution? Probably not. It's always easy to trade with someone else's land when it's not your land. So my answer to those experts is no. And I don't understand, I don't see the reason why we should be doing it at all. Did the line established in 2014 save us from the large-scale invasion? Did endless, exhausting, devastating, and sometimes disgusting attempts to make Minsk work save us from Russia's invasion? No, it didn't. So why experts believe that this time it's going to work? I mean, we all have to publish something, right? We have to look smart on social media, in op-eds and publications experts make. But they simply have to look back at history. No, I'm not afraid that this war will become a frozen conflict. It won't. It will end with victory of one of the sides, the defeat of the other side, and Ukraine will win and Russia is going to lose. Thank you.
And the last one in the front row.
Thank you very much. Maxim Drabak, Deutsche Welle. There are a lot of talks about tanks and planes, but what about ammunition? Actually, it's very, very in need. Are there any agreements to produce more ammunition in Ukraine or probably on the territory of Poland to serve as a hub? Thanks.
Yes, you hit the point. Ammunition is critical. It's a critical issue. I'm not mentioning it only because the political decision to provide Ukraine with ammunition was made in the very beginning of the war. But the problem is that there will never be enough of ammunition. So yes, we are working on 3 tracks. Track number 1, delivery of ammunition available in the warehouses of our partners without going below critical threshold. Track 2, delivering ammunition from third parties who do not want to directly give it to Ukraine, but deliver it through third countries. And track 3 is actually increasing production. And I had meetings today with defense industries exactly on this item. I received assurances that, and I have specific numbers, about the quantities that can be produced. The question is contracting them, financing, and logistics. It sounds easy, you know, we sent them 20,000 rounds of artillery ammunition. Logistically, it's a nightmare. So logistics play a very important role. And by the way, the logistical operation that Ukraine and partners are undertaking now to bring everything in is, I think, the largest one since Second World War. Very complicated. But yeah, we are witnessing the rebirth of defense industries. But it was not our choice. This choice was imposed on us by the Russian aggression. We have to be able to defend ourselves. And when I say we, I don't mean only Ukraine, I mean all of you.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, media.
Thank you. Have a good day. Enjoy the rest of the conference and stay safe.